Now, Executive Suite with WPRI.com reporter Ted Nesi.
This fall, voters in Newport will decide whether Newport Grand should be allowed to add table games thanks to a deal struck at the State House in the wee small hours of June 21st. The face of the pro-gaming campaign, former Providence Mayor Joseph Paolino, who heads a group of investors that want to redevelop Newport Grand. This week on the first half of Executive Suite, we hear the pitch from Joe Paolino. Then, bring your company to life. That's the headline on a new effort to lure companies to downtown Providence, led by the Providence Downtown Improvement District and the Providence Foundation. Will it work? On the second half of Executive Suite, the Executive Director of the Providence Foundation, Dan Beaudoin, and the CEO of Mojotech, Nick Kishfy. Welcome to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nesi. As you heard there later, we're going to hear about that slick new campaign to get companies to move to downtown Providence. But right now, very pleased to be joined by former Mayor Joe Paolino, an old friend of ours here at Channel 12, and an investor in Newport Grand. Thanks for being here, Joe.
Thanks. Nice to be here.
So I want to dive right in. I think people are very curious about this proposal, especially now that it's going to be on the ballot in Newport and statewide in the fall. But let's start with an alternative scenario. Let's say this doesn't pass, or you guys hadn't gotten involved at all. What do you think is the business trajectory for Newport Grand if it stays as is?
I can't see how it can continue. Why would anybody want to go down Route 24, pass a new Foxwoods Casino in Fall River, to just go to an old slot parlor that wasn't even built to be a slot parlor? It was built to be a highlight fronton in Newport. There's really no reason for anybody to go there. And my concern is I think there's going to be a loss of jobs. I think the 175 people that are presently working there will be losing their job. And it's just very clear that the state at one time derived $50 million in revenue for the state budget out of that facility. Today it's $26 million. So their business has been cut in half. And if you keep on going through that process, pretty soon it'll be zero. So we need an infusion of dollars. We're going to invest $40 million. We're going to save 175 jobs. We're going to create at least another 200 jobs over there. We're going to bring more money into the economy. And it's not going to be a slot parlor. It's going to be an entertainment center. We want to have acts like Billy Joel and Tyler Swift, and Jimmy Buffett come in there. We want to have a good fitness center, health center, where right now the closest place for health and wellness is maybe like Canyon Ranch in the Berkshires. Let's do it right here in Newport. Make the place 12 months a year facility instead of like 4 months. And also have a casino that will be a component of an overall project that's going to be an entertainment center. It's going to help the restaurants in the wintertime. It's going to help businesses in the wintertime, because right now, after October, after Columbus Day, things really slow up in Newport. And I think we can keep that going if we have this entertainment center. So
$40 million, that's a decent chunk of change there. Where is the bulk of that money going to be? Is it redeveloping inside? Is it expansion, new buildings? Where's the bulk of that money going to end up be spending if it happens?
On the entire facility. Right now, even the car park, the parking lot there, it's not attractive at all. There's nothing inviting to go there. If anything, it's a suggestion, do we really want to go here? Maybe it's time to leave. I want to get rid of that slot sign that's in front. Give it a Monte Carlo type of look on the outside. It's going to be a boutique facility. It's not going to be competing with the Foxwoods of the world. There's not enough land for it. It is what it is, but do something different that no one else has done. Have entertainment. Have a good health center there. Spa treatments. That is something that nobody has around here. And also have tables. And then landscape that car park, make it look attractive, make the outside and inside look attractive, and then let that facility help become an anchor and a vehicle to bring business to the hotels and the restaurants that already are in Newport.
I was speaking to an official down there who's somewhat skeptical of this whole proposal, and he said, well, we can't fit many more people in Newport. Maybe we don't need much more an expanded facility at Newport Grand because it's already so packed in the summertime and everything. What do you say to that? People say Newport can't sustain a significantly larger Newport Grand.
Well, in Newport, the unemployment rate is close to 10 to 11% during the months of November through March. In the cold winter months, there's not many people to go to Newport, not many people are working there. A lot of it, I mean, why do we always have to be the highest tax state in America, have the highest unemployment in America, and always look to the government to put money in? This is private investment, $40 million of private investment. No government funds. We're not looking for any handouts from anybody. We want to employ people. We want to create jobs. And we want to take something that's not very attractive and transform it into something nice. And instead of making it 3 or 4 months a year, make it 12 months a year and employ people. Unfortunately, maybe the smallness of Rhode Island, I don't know what it is, but we're always beat ourselves up. We all say, well, gee, that can't happen, that can't happen. I'm not a half, to me, the glass is always half full. It's not half empty. And I'm enthused about this. We're 3 local guys. We have homes in Newport. We're Newporters by choice, not because we were born there, but we all have homes there, and we care about what's going to happen. And if this was in another community, I don't think I would be involved in this, but Newport is a brand in itself. It's an international brand. Now let's take it for a ride. Let's make it even something more special. And I want to have, one of the things I want to do is have like a James Bond room there, so that Saturday nights you have to have a tuxedo, black tie, you go into a special place to have to play the table games. But it has to be an overall entertainment center.
Do you, you also, in the law that just passed the General Assembly to push all this forward, have the referendum, they changed what Newport, as the municipality of Newport, would get from Newport Grand as a share of revenue. And can you give the basic thumbnail of what is in here if Newport voters approve this for Newport?
A number of things, and it's going to be on the ballot that it has to be at that location, by the way. It's not moving anywhere. Anybody that's wondering where this facility is going to be, it's going to stay right where it is today. You couldn't park the cars anywhere anyways, and I don't want people going through all the traffic. Location's great. Secondly, the people of Newport, the city budget is going to receive about $9 million over the first 6 years once we have invested $40 million. That's $9 million. $6 million of it is new money. That's a lot of money. What also in Newport, for the past 20 years, property taxes have increased every single year for the past 20 years. Hopefully with the investment that we're making, hopefully that can cushion that, so maybe they can have a year or two without a tax increase.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Joe Paolino about his vision for Newport Grand, and later we'll hear about a plan to get more companies in downtown Providence. Stick with us on Executive Suite. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi. Later in the show, we'll hear from Dan Beaudoin and Nick Kishfy about a new effort to bring companies to downtown Providence. But right now, my guest is former Providence Mayor Joe Paolino. He is one of the 3 lead investors on a new effort, the 3 investors to redevelop Newport Grand if they get voter approval this fall. And Joe, it took until the wee hours of the morning to finish the law at the General Assembly that green lighted the vote in Newport and everything else. Was there a significant holdup? Did you have to give up something significant here to get this?
I wasn't going to let them go home until they passed more money for the people of Newport.
Really?
It's critical that the people of Newport receive something out of this. They just can't stand by and let this happen. So, you know, the state of Rhode Island is really our partner. A lot of people don't realize that the state receives about 60 cents in every single dollar that comes in there. And then G-Tech, because they don't know the machines, they get about 7%. And they add a few more points, goes somewhere else. The operators only receive 30% or 30 cents. And that's of the gross. So out of our 30 cents, we have to pay the help, pay the taxes, pay the electricity, all the expenses, the whole shooting match. So I felt, and this is where part of maybe my past experience of being in government and being a mayor, if I was a mayor of Newport, I'd say, what's in it for my city? What can we get out of this? And so with the state, through their leadership with the Speaker and the Senate President and others, decided, you know, there's a good argument here. And because the more we can bring to the state, it's going to be better for their budget, and it's better for Newport by giving Newport residents more money. As I said, property taxes have increased over every single year for the past 20 years there. Hopefully this project will help cushion future tax increases. I don't know if it will or not, but we're going to do as much as we can to try to help.
Let's say voters approve it. What happens the next day? What happens November 5th? What's your timeline to do all this, the $40 million, all you're talking about, redeveloping it?
We're going to start working right away with architects and engineers and builders and start putting together plans to make that happen. I right now have an application in for my license or whatever, and the partners all have our applications in, and we want to get ready to try to close the deal and start the process on the interim basis the way it is now, add some tables, but at the same time put together an overall plan. This isn't my business. I'm in the real estate business. I love what I do. This is something much different and foreign of what I've done in the past in regards to the operations, but it's not different from what I've done in regards to economic development. And I believe that we can put together something that everybody can be very proud of. When they drive over the Newport Pell Bridge and they enter Newport, you go to the great restaurants and everything to the right up Thames Street, you take a left if you want, and you come to the Newport Entertainment Center, and hopefully if Tyler Swift is singing there, or Billy Joel, and if you're looking to get a good spa treatment, or if you want to go and game, you'll be able to do that right at the location that it's at. And what's great, we can save and create a lot of jobs over there.
As you know, there's opposition in Newport. There has been for years to expanded gambling, to any gambling. Some folks don't even want the current Newport Grand open. The woman quoted in the Journal, retired teacher who lives there, said, quote, "I think it's a morally reprehensible way to raise money for government." She says she's voting no on this idea.
By the way, she's probably right, but it's a third income generator in the state budget. So this was done way before I was around, and there is gaming there now. That place is as it stands now, it's a casino. If you like it or you don't, it's a casino. There is gaming there. In fact, if anything, this will bring a different clientele of people that enjoy playing table games. And with the investment that we're going to make, I think we can make it into a much better facility. The Newport Entertainment Center is going to be a great addition to the city of Newport.
Only about 30 seconds left. You've obviously done polling to see whether this can pass. How confident are you feeling that you can convince people? Just 2 years ago they said no.
We have to, there are a lot of false statements that were made. In fact, the politics that it took on, they put ads, they said it's going to go to the waterfront. I would vote against it myself if it was going to the waterfront. They said it's going to go to Bellevue Avenue. I'd vote against it myself. In fact, what a lot of people don't know, Newport isn't just Bellevue Avenue. Newport is a town that's a city, rather, that's struggling, that has high unemployment, and people need jobs. So I think there's a big difference now because of the threat of Massachusetts, the loss of jobs that we're going to have, the $40 million investment that we're making, and that we're making it into an entertainment center. And the 3 local developers. I think that's the big difference than it was 2 years ago. And I'm going to walk the neighborhoods. I'm going to communicate with people. I'm going to go to various organizations. And I'm happy to listen and talk to anybody that wants to talk about this. Give us a call. We'll come down and see you.
All right, Joe Paolino back on the campaign trail for Newport Grand. And we'll be keeping an eye on the project. Joe, thanks for being here. Stay tuned because up next we're going to have Dan Beaudoin from the Providence Foundation and Nick Kishfy from Mojotech talking about this new effort to bring your company to life by bringing it to Providence. Stick with us on Executive Suite. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi, and now we zip up Rhode Island back to Providence to talk with Dan Beaudoin from the Providence Foundation and Nick Kishfy, founder and CEO of Mojotech. And as I've been saying, they're part of this new effort to bring more companies to Providence, to downtown Providence. But before we get to that, actually, Nick, I just want to give people a sense of what you do at Mojotech. You're an interesting company. You're getting some buzz out there. Just what's the elevator pitch version of your company? What do you do?
Sure. So Mojotech is a software design and development agency. Basically, that means clients come to us with an idea for a new product or service that can live on the internet. So it could be a mobile web application or a phone application, and we build it for them.
And so you have developers, people like that. You guys are in there tinkering, writing code, all that?
Yep, you got it. It looks like a set out of a Silicon Valley movie or whatever. We've got designers and software engineers, strategists all working on creating apps for our clients.
And I think, did you work with Swipely with Angus Davis, who's been on the show?
We did, absolutely. We worked with Swipely. It's been a few years ago now to launch our original beta product. And we've worked with other local Providence companies too, like Teespring right now, who's doing really well. So
Walker Williams, we've had him on as well. So I saw when I looked at your website today, you are hiring in Providence, but a very specific type of jobs. I'm just curious, what kind of people are you looking for as at Mojotech to hire?
Sure. So we're absolutely hiring, and And we look for a variety of things. Specifically, we're looking for software designers and software engineers. So there's certain specific skills that people need, but really it comes down to, I think, the personality. Someone that's very ambitious, wants to work in a fast-paced, collaborative environment, can learn quickly. If they've got those traits, we can kind of teach them some of the specific tools and frameworks that we use. People with design degrees and obviously computer science degrees are the ideal candidates for us. But we've hired people with history degrees, philosophy degrees.
Interesting.
I think almost half of the last dozen or so people we've hired came from outside of Rhode Island. We've hired people from Ohio, Florida, Massachusetts, Virginia, New Hampshire.
And before we bring Dan in, is it hard? We've tied, when I have tech CEOs on, a lot of times it comes up that there's not a ton of people out there in Rhode Island with the type of skills tech companies need right now.
That's absolutely true. And we've tried to compensate for that by creating a really excellent training program so we can get younger, more junior candidates in that have the right personality, and we can just train them in-house. But that's really hard for a smaller company to do, for a startup to do, because they can't invest in their own people. They need people that know what to do right away. And so, talent in Providence is a little bit thin right now, and hopefully campaigns like Dan's can help attract from outside Boston and other areas to come here.
A great segue. You're ready for TV. So Dan, let's bring you in on this. So tell me about this new campaign. Bring your company to life is kind of the slogan. It's also the website there. And I'm just curious, give people a sense, what's the message you're trying to send and who's the target audience for this?
Sure. The message is that downtown Providence has a set of attributes and assets that is somewhat unique in the state and even in New England. Not totally unique in New England, but it is an environment that we believe young, talented people, innovative companies, that's the kind of environment they want to locate in. They want to locate in a place that has a lot of amenities, that has a lot of transit, that's close to universities, that has a lot of restaurants, that has a lot of other companies so that creative people can bump into other creative people on the sidewalk or at some events, that has a good system to build companies like Beta Spring and others. So it's a kind of innovation center. Providence is already one of those. And it's a kind of innovation center that people are trying to go around the country because it is a way of growing the economy. That's a proven strategy. But we have the assets now. So this campaign is directed towards smaller companies, not the huge companies, in areas like computer software, digital media, information technology, design, where we have some strengths and where we think there are companies that are looking for this type of environment.
And we were seeing the very cool website you guys have put together for this on screen there. Nick, part of why you're here is because you're one of the examples they hold up of a company that's done this. What brought your company to downtown Providence? You're in the Union Station building there, that complex near Burnside Park.
Yeah, so we originally started out on the East Bay and outgrew our space fairly quickly. And when we started looking for space, we thought, well, maybe we should actually consider a different location, not just a larger space. And we started looking downtown and thought, if we go downtown, it probably will help us in recruiting. Some people don't want to drive down to the East Bay. And even at that time, we had a lot of clients in New York and Boston. So we thought, access to the train station would be really handy. So, we made the leap and went right downtown, and almost immediately after that actually opened an office in New York because it was so convenient to get to. And our employees are very happy now that they're in Providence.
I could see a tech, let's say someone saw this in Silicon Valley and they say, how am I going to build a tech company in some podunk capital in the smallest state that, it's glory days of industry with the 1700s maybe,
Right.
What would be your pushback to them on how it can work here?
Yeah, actually that's a great question. We get the, well, if you're so good, why are you in Providence line sometimes? And that does frustrate me a little bit because I think it makes a lot of assumptions about Providence and a lot of assumptions about, oh, the people there must not be as good, it's podunk. But in reality, there are smart, creative people everywhere, all over the country, and what they need is kind of a critical mass, need a place to assemble and feed off of each other. And we're fortunate that we were able to kind of hit that tipping point where within Mojotech that exists. We don't even have to go outside that to have that kind of great ecosystem. But now with Swipely right across the park from us, we've got Teespring, there's all these meetups and events. I mean, we're really starting to make a big difference, I think, and kind of cross-pollinate and give people the freedom to learn new things, explore other opportunities at different companies. It's great.
Dan, obviously companies like Mojotech and Swipely have already made this choice. They're not your real target audience here. How do you get this message to the companies and other places that you want to say, oh, okay, I will try Providence?
Yeah, we don't have like millions of dollars to do that. So that's one of the reasons why we hired this very creative company called Nail, which is a growing creative company right in downtown who lives the experience. So we didn't have to tell them what was good about it. They knew, and they told us, because they looked at moving outside of downtown. Their employees said, no, we want to be here. So we're using a lot of social media. We're using a lot of public relations. We're hooking into other activities, such as the Chamber of Commerce and the Commerce Corporation have this statewide website that they just developed a few months ago that's going out to site seekers and others across the country. So we're now part of that. We're looking at ways to reach out to alumni of universities. We're looking at ways to try to get in front of conventioneers who are in specialized areas that may have a convention in Providence. How can we get in front of them? So we're working very closely with commercial real estate brokers, many of which have offices around the country. So we're trying to get this word out with a limited budget, but that's one of the reasons why this website was so well designed and unique, to try to get people to even think about.
One of the funniest things on it is a little piece called "Bribe Your Boss." Tell people about what the idea is there.
Well, part of this campaign is it's innovative, and we'll see if it works. We hope so. Is that the reason companies locate these days, particularly like Nick's companies, where can I find the people that I need to grow my business, and where can I find those creative people? And those creative people, many of them want to be in an urban setting, and so part of this campaign is directed towards an employee, saying, okay, you love your company, but maybe they're not in the best location. Why don't you tell your boss, why don't you take a look at Providence? And that we use the term bribe the boss, we're going to take you out to lunch. That's basically what we're going to do, which is not an unusual technique, but it may be an unusual way of getting in front of the boss.
Get them to a restaurant and show them the food they could have if they come in.
One of the 75 great restaurants in downtown.
There you go, man, ready with a slogan. So Nick, we only have a minute left, but when you think ahead, you want your company to keep growing. Do you think you can stay in Providence and grow to the size and scale you want to be at? I know how entrepreneurs are. I know how you guys think.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we've just signed a lease to expand our existing office space right downtown. So we're going to be doubling our space. Construction starts in a few months. I think that we'll be happy here. We'll probably continue to have some satellite offices around the country to get closer access to clients. But yeah, I think we can do it. I think we can stay here and do well and thrive.
And Dan, if people want to check out that website we keep referring to, do you know the URL off the top of your head?
Let's bring your company to life.
Providence.com,
right? Yes.
Is it Providence in it?
Well, yeah, if you go bringyourcompanytolife.com,
takes you over to it. All right, so bringyourcompanytolife.com. You see it again there. Arm and a leg is what we're saying it costs in Boston, and even more than that in New York. So we'll see if it works. Maybe I'll try to bribe my boss to get them to take me to lunch or something like that. So that's all the time we have this week. I want to thank Dan Beaudoin, Nick Kishfy, and Joe Paolino for joining me on the show. Next week we're going to have got to check my thing here, Waterfire founder Barnaby Evans is going to be here with us talking about the latest summer of those events in downtown Providence. So another thing I'm sure they'll be talking about to these people they want to bring in. If you missed this show or any other episode of Executive Suite, you can catch all of those on our website, WPRI.com. And I'll be back here next week. I'll see you then on Executive Suite. Thanks, guys, for coming in.
Thank you.
All right.